Good morning, Husker fans, and welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. I'm Chris Peterson, and joining me as always is Danny Gillette, and we're back on a Thursday morning for a special episode of the Husker Big Red podcast to talk about the fallout of Trev Alberts stabbing Nebraska in the back. Shortly after our episode yesterday, the report started coming out that he was leaving for Texas A&M. That was confirmed by Mr. Alberts yesterday in an email that he sent to his staff to confirm that he was leaving, which has kind of betrayed everything that he's ever stood for in his entire career. But at the same time, we're going to get into this conversation. I know Nebraska fans are quite upset. As you can tell, I'm not very happy right now. But at any rate, before we get into it, make sure that you guys, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future content. And Danny, how are you this morning, this fine Thursday?
We're going to have a lot of future content, I think. But, it's just it's a dark day for Nebraska athletics. And sure, people can say, oh, we'll find another one. And, Trev did what was best for him and blah, 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 and this and that and all this happy stuff. But when the structure of Nebraska is so completely messed up, it doesn't give me hope that things will get better, even with a new athletic director and, hopefully much of the same coaching staff. I mean, this is a stab in the back. This is a shady move, and it was also very convenient that Trev made this decision when all of his coaches were out of town. So I remember people in my mentions, people from UNO tried to warn me, say Trev is not the guy you think he is, and they were right.
Yeah, they were right. I was with you. I was like, no, Trev's a great guy, but he kind of does have a history of doing some interesting things. I didn't realize this, but when he was at ESPN, he got fired for no showing because he got mad about his role on College Game Day. And
yeah, he did. I remember that actually. I was kind of laughing about it at the time. But
I just read an article about that someone posted on the message boards about he called and then didn't show up for work. So it seems like a similar thing happened here. I mean, I understand people, pursuing other opportunities, and I get that, but to me, if this was an outsider, if Trev didn't play at Nebraska, wasn't a Cornhusker, like I could understand it more. Seeing that leadership is messed up and things with the Board of Regents. I don't know everything. I just know obviously there's some dysfunction there that needs to be addressed, but to me, that seems like a terrible reason to leave a place that you quote love, and that your mom, nobody loves the Huskers more than your mom. That is what he mentioned, and it's really frustrating that I wrote this on my HuskerBigRed.com, but when I lived in Hastings, Nebraska, and I'm not 100% true or know how true this story is, but the local video store there, because the Alberts lived in Iowa, so they couldn't watch all their games on TV. So they recorded all the games and they literally mailed them to the Alberts in Iowa. And so I believe in 1993 or so, he did a big autograph session as kind of like a thank you. They didn't allow kids to get paid for autographs or anything back then. And I waited in line for about 3-4 hours to get his autograph when I was like 6 or 7 years old. And so for the fact that, he was Mr. Husker. And so for the fact that he just turned his back on this program, and it's just, I can't believe it. I still am in shock. And I think that's why there is so much frustration. Like if this was, Bill Moose, if he was actually like successful enough to go somewhere else like that, I could understand that. But to take this job and to basically be like, this is my dream job, there's nowhere else I would rather be. And then for Nebraska to hire you from UNO, a Division II program, you did not have the qualifications for this job. They took a chance on you because of who you were. You're a Husker. And then they signed you to basically doubled your salary. You're going to be getting an extra $500,000 in a couple of years. Like he was the second highest paid AD in the Big Ten, top 10 in the country, at a place that he supposedly loves. So you're trying to tell me that you're going to leave that because of some political infighting? Like that's BS. And there's no excuse for it. And frankly, like I know I'm going to calm down eventually. I'm not quite there with the people that want to take his number down, but I don't want to see Trev Alberts in Lincoln Memorial Stadium. Like right now, I don't want to see him there ever again. I'm sure at some point I will soften on that stance, like I'm very emotional about it right now, but like he can go straight to hell right now. Trev Alberts, if you're watching, you can go straight to hell.
Scott Frost must be breathing a sigh of relief as he no longer holds the title of the most hated person in Nebraska.
Yeah.
But
and it's like I told you, Scott Frost, I was mad at Scott because I thought he could have tried harder and put in more effort, but he just failed because of incompetence. Trev Alberts knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows better than anybody, better than all of us fans. He knows exactly how much this is hurting Nebraska at a critical time. Look at the Pac-12. you hire the wrong person, one failed leadership, and your conference ceases to exist. And that's the precipice that Nebraska could find itself on, because Big Ten membership and all this stuff, it's not guaranteed. I mean, look at Utah, Colorado, Arizona State. From literally overnight, they became second-tier programs, and that's how quickly it can happen in Nebraska, especially now.
Yeah, and you look at the schools coming in, USC, UCLA, Washington, or the schools already in, not coming in, but Oregon. Like, if they don't make this next athletic director hire a good one, they are in danger of really, really falling behind. And yeah, I mean, this was just an unprecedented move. I said the wrong phrase that I shouldn't have yesterday. I said after the show, I messaged you. I said, "Hey, is there anything to write about?" There's nothing to write about today, and I got something to write about, and we got something to write about, and it's just never a dull day around here, and I'm tired of it never being a dull day around here, because although I love to write, it's always something with this place. It's always something, and yeah, I mean, it's convenient that he left after he signed that big deal. I guess he had to make sure that the checks cashed first. But, I mean, I know it's not an entirely Board of Regents problem and things like that, and I know Trev is a snake, but the upper portion of leadership has to be looked at, because we've had a ton of turnover for an athletic department, and I think the upper management, so to speak, needs to really kind of face the music here, because it's very easy for them to make decisions on certain things, and we never hear from them at all.
And the Board of Regents, are electable. They are elected officials, so that's something to keep in mind. And
this isn't helping their election. I'd say for the fall.
I did see last night that the website that had their information was down last night for a while. So I don't know if that was because it was flooded or if they took it down for security reasons. I'm not sure.
Both, probably, because people probably wanted to send them emails and phone calls and stuff like that, and they'll know they've messed up come election time. And again, it's not all their fault, but they've continually kind of been stingy with money. They haven't really given a ton of support to many in the athletic department, and this is a problem. I mean, this is a problem. We were finally getting stability with Nebraska athletics for the first time in so long, and now we have to start from square one again.
Yeah, and it is really frustrating because, it's like, oh yeah, he's just the AD, he's not the head coach or anything. But he hired the head football coach, and he didn't hire the other coaches. I mean, I get that, but he still has a key role in how this all works. And I mean, especially just from a football perspective, like Matt Rule understands better than anybody what poor leadership, how it can absolutely tank your organization. He knows that the Carolina Panthers are the best right now. Seriously, the Carolina Panthers are probably the best example in professional sports, in all of professional sports, how leadership can tank your franchise. Look at the Chicago Bears. Look at the Washington Redskins. There's a reason that the Bears have stunk for 3 decades, and it's because their owners are terrible. They don't care about winning. And that's the same thing with the Redskins or the Panthers. Even if they do care about winning, they're so incompetent that it doesn't matter. And so my thing with Matt Rule, he's not going to jump out the door right away. But if you get an AD and hear that he doesn't mesh with or that he doesn't believe in, then Mike Elko, and that's my thing too, is, if Mike Elko struggles in a couple of years, who do you think Trev Alberts' first phone call is going to be to? It's going to be to Matt Rule. I have no doubt in my mind that if Mike Elko, has 2 losing seasons, he'll be fired, and Trev Alberts will have Matt Rule on speed dial. He stabbed Nebraska in the back once. Why would he hesitate to do it again? I'd have no doubt in my mind that he would. You're not going to, and he didn't hire Mike Elko, so he's not going to have any loyalty to him or any. And Texas A&M, they don't care. They'll fire him like nothing, and they'll get the oil money out, and they'll hire Matt Rule. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but that is a very realistic scenario of Matt Rule being targeted not only by Texas A&M but by other schools too, especially if he's not happy with the leadership. And it's really, I guess the thing that frustrates me too is with Ted Carter and Trev Alberts, because they both were part of changing the leadership dynamics at Nebraska and the structure so that Trev answers directly to Ted Carter. You make this huge change, and then you both leave within a few months. Seriously, WTF? Who does that? Literally, who does that? Who leaves I mean, the basketball team, literally yesterday or Tuesday, Trev Alberts is retweeting Fred Hoiberg co-coach of the year. And then the next day he's sending an email to his staff that he's leaving. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. You know, the men's team is going to Minneapolis, about to get selected for their first NCAA bid in 10 years. And you have this dark cloud now hanging over it because Trev Alberts is a selfish bastard. He's a selfish bastard. And I don't want to ever see him in Lincoln Memorial Stadium ever again. Like, he soiled everything. He soiled his legacy. You know, it's just disgraceful. I mean, the fact that, you know, I truly cannot wrap my mind around him doing this, especially at this time. You know, it'd be different if Nebraska was in a better place, but there's a lot of things that, I mean, they are in a good place with a lot of their coaches, but there's still a lot of things up in the air with realignment and all this stuff. And it's just, you know, for him to sit here and talk about constantly, you know, how important this time is in athletics, and then to leave and to start this project and not see it through. It's just really disappointing. And, you know, if there is some reason that he left with the Regents, then, you know what, open your damn mouth and tell us. Like, have some guts. If you actually love this place, don't walk out the door on a text message like a, you know, I can't even use the words that I want to use because they're inappropriate. But, you know, I mean, it's just, that's cowardice. It's absolute cowardice. And that's not how you treat a place that you love.
Well, it's no coincidence that all the coaches that you mentioned, Rule, Hoiberg, Williams, were out of the office when this happened. And, you know, I think, you know, because the same, and I'm not, again, it's not all the Regents' fault, but they are going to have a big hand in hiring the next athletic director. So I don't trust them to do the same. Like, I don't trust them to do a good job with that either. Yeah. I really don't. I mean, it's the same, you know, you're looking in times like this towards leadership to guide you, and there's no leadership at all. So what are we really doing here? And, you know, I think whoever they hire.
How do we still not have a president after 7? I mean, you do need to hire. I mean, that's ridiculous. So
yeah, I mean, there's too much effing around and not enough action, and it's going to cost us. I mean, football season is, let's see, 5 months away. You know, baseball season's in full swing. You know, volleyball is going to be a national powerhouse again. You know, basketball is doing well. I mean, this is a really, really bad time to have to find a new athletic director. I mean, I know John Cook's name was floated as a potential candidate to be athletic director, which I wouldn't mind, but it would be a difficult jump from volleyball coach to athletic director. But, you know, this was a really, really bad move at a really, really bad time. And Matt Rule would clean up at Texas A&M. So Penn State, like you said, is another possibility, but I'm more worried about Texas A&M, to be honest, right now. And then, you know, the football structure is going to suffer, you know, if Matt Rule leaves. So we're just back to square one again, and it all starts at the top.
Yeah, I mean, the like I tweeted last night, the most important thing for Nebraska is to make sure that they keep Matt Rule for the long-term future. That is the most important thing for the athletic department, because if the football program is doing well, then everybody is doing well. And so, I mean, I know I'm not trying to diminish other schools, but Nebraska is a football school, and that needs to get right. It just has to. Fred Hoiberg, you know, is there. I do like the idea of John Cook, but I also don't like the idea of losing the best volleyball coach in the country either. So, and I'm not sure that he's ready to walk away. I mean, he's got the number one team in the country, most likely. I mean, they were number one all last year and didn't lose until the national championship game. And I think they got a better roster than they did last year, to be honest. You know, I mean, you look at some of those freshmen are going to be, you know, sophomores, and some of the transfers that they've added. So, I mean, I really have a hard time seeing him walking away from a chance to add a national championship, which they have not won in a long time. I guarantee you he wants to win another one. So I get that move, but like, can he be the AD and coach volleyball at the same time? Probably not. So I don't, that scares the hell out of me. Like, taking one of your best coaches, like not just in Nebraska, but in the country, and making him your AD. Like, I don't know. There are some other candidates, but like, I do like Amy Williams, and then the other thing, you know, wrestling, baseball, they're all having, I would say, you know, softball, baseball, wrestling, women's basketball, men's basketball, you know, volleyball, football, which are probably the main sports, the biggest, you know, especially if you're talking about revenue producing, not that those softball and baseball produce a ton, but they're all in the right direction. I mean, women's softball made the tournament last year. They got Jordy Ball. We got Dylan Raiola. Baseball is off to a good start. So it is frustrating from that sense of things. But you could also see if you get the right hires done, that maybe it wouldn't be, the death knell that we all want to feel that it is right now. But so here's from Husker Online yesterday. They put out, like a list of just candidates, not that they're, based on any type of reporting or anything. But John Cook, another name. Mark Rhodes from Baylor, the athletic director. He's been at Akron, Houston, and Missouri, and obviously would know, he hired Matt Rule. So that wouldn't be, that wouldn't be a bad move at all. Garth Glissman is the SEC Associate Commissioner for men's basketball. He's from Nebraska. He played quarterback at Nebraska. He's worked in the NBA, now worked in the SEC. So he would be, an interesting guy to get.
Well-rounded in terms of experience. So
another guy that I like here that they've mentioned, Ed Stewart, who's executive senior associate athletic director at USC. And he was the executive associate commissioner in the Big 12 for 16 years. And he's been doing this job since 2022. And he also was a former Nebraska football player. So that, to me, that still appeals to me, even though everything that happened with Trev, I still feel like it's worth, trying to hire within the Nebraska family if possible. But I'm not saying that it's, required, but it just seems like when they have gone outside the Nebraska family, it hasn't always worked out well. So I don't know. I'm not sure on that, but they mentioned Alan Green from outside the Nebraska family. He's a deputy AD at Tennessee. He's another guy that got mentioned. Matt, I'm sorry, I have to chuckle. Matt Davidson. I don't know how in the hell that they decided to put him on that list. Like, are you guys being serious? Is that a joke? I mean, I get he's running the collective, but
is he really running?
Yeah, is he really running the collective? I mean,
No.
And they wrote, few people around the state better understand the new NIL world and college athletics. I mean, I'll give him credit that they came up. I mean, they did help, probably get money for Raiola and all that, but.
Yeah, but that was after years and years and years of asking the collective to actually do something.
And is raising money really show that that? I mean, I think that's kind of laudable.
That's the other thing too. You're asking for money from all these diehard fans, and you can't even keep your athletic director.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
You're asking for all these fundraising efforts, and yet you show complete incompetence in regards to keeping your guys home.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's almost hard to put into words, just like what it could mean, and I don't know. It's really hard to explain how the athletic director makes such a big deal, but it just seemed like we literally said this like last week. We've got and before Ted Carter left too, actually, is when we really said it. But it was like we've got the leadership in place, the head coach. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody's working toward a common goal, and you don't always get that. I mean, even Michigan this last year did not have that. Where there was not. So I mean, you can win even if there isn't that great relationship with the AD. But if there was, Jim Harbaugh might still be the head coach. Like seriously. So I mean, it just goes to show that when that working relationship, when they're butting heads, when it doesn't work, even when you're winning national championships, guys can still walk out the door. And so that's where because I do believe in my heart of hearts that Matt Rule's going to win games here. They're going to make a bowl game this year. They're going to be in playoff contention. And in the next 2 or 3 years, I do worry more about Penn State than Texas A&M. I'm just going to say that. But whether it's Penn State or A&M or another program, you got to worry about that, because if he sees some place where they've got the leadership structure that they don't have Nebraska, then I'm not going to – it's hard to blame him for taking that opportunity, because, I mean, you look at Matt Rule's career, he doesn't have that many chances left, really. If he fails at Nebraska, who else is going to hire him? A group of 5 school? Like, Baylor again? I mean, really. Like, if you really look at it, you don't get fired. You don't really come back from getting fired twice. I mean, it's possible he could go back to like a Houston or somewhere in there, but like this is his last opportunity at a big time job if he fails. So I don't see him, if he's like, man, this AD or this president, if he gets a chance to go somewhere else where the right structure is in place, he might take it. And I can't blame him for that.
No, I can't blame him either.
Is how it works out.
I just still had to smile at Matt Davidson. Get him the hell away. Get him the hell away from Nebraska.
Oh, God,
I don't
no.
want him near the athletic director's office.
I don't want him near the athletic department. I mean, he's close enough, but then I just leave him at the 1890. At least he can't do that much damage there, you know?
That's the other thing. Like, part of me wants a Nebraska guy, but the other part of me kind of just wants somebody new because we've gone the Nebraska guy route, and all it's done is stab us in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind the Baylor guy. The Iowa State athletic director was also mentioned. So,
Well, that could be key in keeping Hoiberg, you know.
yeah, if it's not, I'm not sure if he was there. Probably, I think he's been there quite a while, so he probably did hire Fred. I think I either want somebody who is experienced, that's done it in a you know, like a Baylor or somebody like that, or
And
somebody
Stewart,
with Nebraska ties. But yeah, I mean, they need to get somebody smart, and they need to get a president, and they need to do it fast. And it is a big deal because it's like I said, the Pac-12, man, like they picked the wrong commissioner and now they don't have a conference anymore. Like literally, if you had a different commissioner, the Pac-12 probably would still exist today. And so you can't overlook the importance of the people making these decisions or the people in charge. And I'm not saying that Nebraska's going to do that. I'm not trying to, you know, cause a five alarm fire when there's not. I mean, if Nebraska makes two good hires here, then everything's going to be fine. But based on everything we've seen over the last decade and over the last few years with leadership, that is a very, very, very big if. And so, you know, I'm going to be on pins and needles seeing who the next AD and president are, because that's going to shape the future of the athletic department.
Well, we'll see if we'll be alive in 2090 when they finally hire the AD and president and get off their asses. See that, like, we don't even have a president yet. Like, what are we doing here, people? Hello, wake up.
Yeah, the interim president, they'll probably get an interim AD, but that's the thing is, you know, a good AD is going to want to have a strong president. So the best move to make probably is to get an interim AD, hire a president, and then get a legitimate athletic director. So bring somebody in, you know, that has Nebraska ties. I mean, that's, you know, whether it's a Dave Remington or somebody else like that, you know, hell, even if it's Tom Osborne again, he's probably too old at this point, but
No.
just somebody to get you through this whatever period to hire a president, because I truly don't believe that we're going to get a quality athletic director, you know, unless they get the president first. I mean, unless that person has ties to Nebraska, that's the only thing that makes it different, where somebody might be able to go into a, you know, a less than ideal situation and because they love the program. And that's what, I don't know, that's what disappoints me the most about Trev, is I just feel like everything that he said, you know, all the interviews he's done, and, you know, I just feel like it was all fake. It makes it feel like it was all fake. And I know that it wasn't, but it really makes it feel like that.
Maybe it was, looking back on it now. He said there's no place he'd rather be than Nebraska, but they threw the bag at him, and there he goes.
But that's the thing. I don't even know if he's getting that much more money. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure that he is. I mean, he probably will eventually. I know they have more money to do probably the projects that he wants to do, but I think this is more of a power play than a money play, personally. And that's why I think it's disappointing. So, you know, it's just, he probably sees himself as like future SEC commissioner, like in charge of something like that. And I mean, cool for you. Like, if that's your goal, like, awesome. But, you know, it's just, the way you went about it was disgraceful. And I think that Tom Osborne would be disappointed in you for sure.
I talked to a couple people yesterday, and they said that, you know, the money for renovations was a big sticking point for Alberts, and that the regions wouldn't give him money for renovations. And meanwhile, Texas A&M has completely opened their pocketbook for things like that. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of factors here. And just from a money standpoint, not talking dollar figures or anything like that, but if you have an opportunity to go to a place where you can get things done and you don't have to haggle and complain for, you know, just to get basic renovations done, it is a more appealing job. And, you know, I think, you know, that played a big factor in it as well. It still doesn't make it right, but if you can get a job where you can get a lot more done the way you want done, I'd take it too.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting to see what happens, and, you know, the ramifications will be interesting. But to be honest, nothing's really going to happen in the near future. So we just need to move past it and just kind of accept that this is the reality right now. I think Matt Rule is here. It is disappointing, and I hope this athletic department gets his stuff together, because they really need to, because they've got some really good coaches, some really great athletes that they deserve better than this. Matt Rule
Yeah.
and Fred Hoiberg and Amy Williams, they deserve better than this. They deserve better than their AD walking out the door before they go to the NCAA tournament, before spring ball starts. I mean, it's just, they made spring ball, or the April 27th or whatever, out to be, this is going to be a great celebration of Nebraska athletics, and Trev Alberts isn't even going to be there for it, which is, it's just it is disappointing. So, but at any rate, Matt Rule's here, and he tweeted about the 2024 season last night. So we just have to rally around him and the coaches, and just do what we do as Nebraska fans, which is show up and support the Huskers.
And they will. And I feel like, the coaches must be even more motivated now to get things done and to, compete and coach at a high level, and the athletes too compete and play at a high level. And, I think the dust will settle and things will hopefully get better, but this was still a death blow to the current state of Nebraska athletics. And, it just seems like this endless shuffle of coaches, athletic directors, administrative staff, and things were going too smoothly for there not to be something wrong. And this is what we got yesterday.
Yep, can't have nice things at Nebraska is kind of the sentiment that's out there right now, but we'll see. I mean, I know we're very doom and gloom right now, but hopefully, we will see brighter times ahead. I do think we have the right coaches in place, so hopefully, leadership at the University of Nebraska will finally figure it out. Maybe this will be a wake-up call. Maybe this will be the wake-up call that these Board of Regents need to finally get it together and give the athletic department the support that it needs to really compete in the new Big Ten, because this isn't the Big Eight. Like, you got to have resources if you want to win nowadays.
This
Nebraska,
isn't even the Big Ten anymore.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's
It's
like
a
big
super
14,
conference.
Yeah.
It's the big super conference. So at any rate, those are our thoughts on Trev Alberts today, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let us know your comments. I'd love to hear what everybody's thinking about Trev Alberts. If you don't already subscribe to the channel, please do. We have a lot of great content. So, make sure that you don't miss any of that. And also check out our written work at huskerbigred.com. So thanks again for the support, you guys. And as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.